Early on in One Piece, when the story was just about gathering the founding members of the crew before they entered the Grand Line, I wasn't quite as invested in the story as I anticipated myself to be. Plenty of cool moments had happened, but none that really stuck out to me too much. Like, there wasn't that moment yet that would indicate how incredible the series would turn out to be. It's literally my top 3. Until Arlong Park. Are your legs weary? Jump into the night. The previous arc, Baratie, ended with the acquisition of Sanji joining the crew, Zoro fatally wounded, and Nami, who we really knew nothing about apart from the fact that she hates pirates, stealing the Going Merry to head elsewhere. The ship that was kindly given by Usopp's childhood friend Kaya, Johnny and Yosaku, Zoro's old friends, and the crew tracked down where Nami's headed. This is because Johnny and Yosaku noticed how unusually she was staring at a specific wanted poster, Arlong's wanted poster, a fishman pirate. As Nami heads back to her hometown where Arlong now has his base of operations, having built Arlong Park on the island, she looks so depressed. We're also shown that Arlong is in cahoots with some marine colonel and buys his way out of trouble from them with a monthly payment. Despite the fact that Arlong hates humans, and past the time skip, we learn just how much he fucking despises them. Like, he speaks of them like they are the scum of the earth, utterly inferior trash. And therefore, his cruelty towards humans is very much understood more after having learned what humans put him through. It is simply just unfortunate that Nami and the people of her home are the victims of his contempt for humans. Because realistically, it could have been anyone, any other random island and people. We find out Nami is a part of the Arlong Pirates, and on the way of her return beats up a kid who wants to kill him to avenge his father. But to compensate, she gives him money to fuck off. What seems like harsh treatment to just a kid is actually her way of protecting him from Arlong, just done in a very cold manner. And rightfully so. As we learn Nami's backstory, we understand why she wouldn't want this kid to go get himself killed. She knows how strong Arlong is and doesn't want this kid to get hurt. Zoro is captured by some fishmen as Usopp and Johnny are fucking morons and left him tied up due to him wanting to charge straight into battle with no thought or plan. Zoro is shocked to see Nami with these guys. He thought she hated pirates, but these are her true colors. Surprised is he? It was all an act, except she's acting the act. This is shown when Arlong mentions that she'd even forget about her own parents' death for money, which immediately changes her facial expression to an appalled one. Zoro instantly notices and goes along with her act. With faith in Nami, Zoro throws himself in the water while still tied up to test if Nami is actually on his side. Zoro's intuition was proven correct, and Nami saves him from drowning, but beats him up to keep up her facade. The facade that hides the fact she secretly fucking hates these guys for what they've done to her and her home. And this is why she hates pirates in general. But the Strawhats are a little different from your stereotypical pirates you would think of. They aren't exactly heroes, as Luffy loves to always emphasize, but they're good people who help those in need of so. Nami is in need, but they don't know it yet. Nojiko, Nami's adoptive older sister, clues us in a little bit about Nami and the island. Usopp mentions to her that Nami fought to protect Usopp's village and smiled happily aboard their ship, which warms up Nojiko's heart to know that, because it's something Nami hasn't done in years. Well, a real smile, that is. It makes sense that Nami would do so as well. She doesn't want her circumstances to be inflicted upon anyone else, and that's why she fought with the Straw Hats to protect Usopp's village from pirates. And even though she hated pirates, these eccentric ones she boarded with for some time most likely showed her that all pirates aren't the same, which is reinforced in the moment I'll be talking about today. Ever since Arlong took over, the villagers have had to pay tribute money to keep their lives, and banned weapons so there's no chance of retaliation or threat against them. If one villager can't pay up the funds, the entire village is destroyed. And this has been going on for 8 years. Since Nami was only 10 years old, this has been going on for. Though Zoro is a pirate, the thing she despises the most in this world, she frees him from his captivity. Arlong's a supposedly reasonable guy, and as shown clearly loves money. If Nami can garner up 100 million berries, she can buy back her village. Even if Arlong is the one who brought upon the suffering spanning nearly a decade in the village, even if he is the one who took the life of her adoptive mother, she's hopeful that he isn't an absolute piece of shit and will keep true to his word. So for 8 years, she's lived on fighting, scrounging, and taking from whoever and wherever she can to buy back the freedom and lives of her hometown people, which gives a clear explanation why she loves money so much. Kind of like Arlong. Money has the power to save her crisis, the ability to buy her village's way out of the torment any longer. So she puts all her faith and trust in money as her savior. Just when things are so damn close to working out, things keep getting in the way with the Strawhats wanting her to come back to the crew. She's one of them. She's their friend, and they can't begin the adventures in the Grand Line without her. Zoro's trust test, Usopp nearly unintentionally sabotaging her arduous efforts, just everything not going according to plan. But at least she saved Usopp by faking his death, even stabbing her own hand to fake the blood. She feels it too, the connection with these pirates she's journeyed along with are different. People who care for her, and who she's come to care for as well. So even if it jeopardizes her lifelong priority, she won't let people like that die. It's exceedingly risky for her to try and protect them and not fall suspect of treachery, but she does so anyway. Even though it's been 8 fucking years she's had to endure this alone. No aid nor help from anyone. How hellishly difficult must that be to live a life like this? On the edge, fighting for not just your life, but others as well. It is too much a burden to bear alone. But even if she doesn't want to admit it yet, she has friends. Friends that are willing to help her and want her to be a part of their adventure. Luffy, the G'd up captain he is, gets furious when Johnny claims Nami killed Usopp, calling her a witch and stuff. She would never do such a thing. And Luffy, even though is an absolute moron most of the time, isn't completely naive or stupid. He actually tends to have a good judgment when it comes to people's characters. So to him, it's absolute nonsense hearing this about Nami, because they're friends, and she's their navigator. Nami, trying to keep up the front, tells Luffy they aren't friends, so he'll go away and get off the island. This is obviously to secretly protect them from Arlong, believing they'd die fighting him. But not that it matters to her though, my ass. She doesn't want outsiders to be in this land's affairs. She doesn't want to drag these good people into her situation. So what does Luffy do? He goes to sleep, as he doesn't plan on leaving the island. Nami gets visibly frustrated. Like, why won't these people just go away? She wanted to forget these people, but the more she tries to, the more she remembers them. They, for a short while, remedied her pain, making her forget the fate she has and the duty she has to carry out. She honestly believes if she wasn't in her current situation, she could be with them forever. An attempt from the Navy who aren't in cahoots with Arlong fails to rescue the survivors from the island. This is the reality. No one can save them. Until now. Nojiko offers to tell the Straw Hats Nami's backstory, but Luffy doesn't care one single bit. He doesn't need to hear her sob story. He doesn't give a damn about any of that. She's his friend. She's their navigator. She's a Straw Hat. That is reason enough. And if there's something she's going through, regardless of the circumstances, he'll be there to help her. Because that's what friends are for. To endure together, because nobody can truly do it alone. And to be there for them in exact dire times like this. The crew is given insight on Nami's life. Growing up relatively poor, trying to live off selling tangerines off Belmere's tangerine orchard. We're shown early signs of Nami's thievery trait as she attempts to steal a book from a bookstore. And she only gets bailed out because Genzo, the sheriff and a parental figure for Nami and Nojiko, paid for it himself. Her financially struggling circumstances also probably contribute to her later love for money. Due to factors like the climate being good recently, anyone can get tons of tangerines from any field, and their ones won't sell good because they don't go up in value. Belmere is even not eating for the sake of the children because they can't afford it, so adding struggle to the already struggling times. We find out Nami's dream is to become a navigator and use those skills to travel all across the world's oceans, so then she can make a world map. They have a bit of a fight that started with Nami receiving Nojiko's hand-me-downs because they're poor, but it comes from a place of love. Belmere wants Nami to understand that even if they aren't related by blood, they are still family. And Nami, in a fit of rage, yells that she wishes she was adopted into a richer family. But really, it's because she doesn't want to see Belmere having to struggle because of her. Belmere could be happier, buying more clothes, eat her fill, and live more free without having to look after Nami and Nojiko. In a flashback of Belmere's marine life when she was on death's doorstep, ready to give up, she sees a young Nojiko carrying a baby Nami. She goes to them and bursts out in tears seeing baby Nami smile, because even though they're on the battlefield of a destroyed wasteland with corpses lying around, Nami manages to somehow still smile. Seeing that gave her the will to live once again, to raise these kids who she doesn't even know, to be wonderful people who won't lose to the era they live in. This is now her life purpose. But then Arlong came, and because their family couldn't pay the tribute funds to him, Belmere paid the ultimate price. Even if the records show she has no children, she can't just say she has no children. They are her family, and she's their mother, even if it's only by name. So instead, she pays for her 2 daughters, and the last thing she can tell them is to live on, and that she loves them. As it flashes back to all the lessons she's taught them, their memories, the key thing that stood out to me was never forget the strength to smile at any time. Something Nami hasn't done in years until she met Luffy and the Straw Hats. It's made known she feels like she can't ask anyone for help if it means risking them getting hurt as well. Hence why she bears all this weight alone. A tall fucking order to do that if you ask me. And she doesn't know this, but the villagers pretend like they hate her for joining Arlong, but they know her true intentions, placing all their faith in this one girl. But if she decides to run away from it all, they do not blame her the slightest. Not only was she forced to get a tattoo at the age of 10 of the symbol representing her mother's murderer, she has to tolerate the suffering of being with those people and working for who killed one of the 2 most important people in her life. It's so painful, and yet her conviction carries her through. She'll fight alone in the pursuit of achieving what would be a lifelong mission. The thing that hurts her the most has become people that call her their friend, because the emotions she feels from these friends hinders her mission and gets in the way of what is most important to her. Above all else, she doesn't want them to get hurt. She can't allow such a thing to happen to the people she could finally feel like she genuinely trusts. Pirates that are the antithesis to the image she has in her mind of pirates. Pirates that are the exact opposite of Arlong, who she loathes the most. She just wants to smile from the bottom of her heart after all this is finally done. 8 long fucking years she's lived like this. It turns out Arlong has known where she stashes her treasure all along, and gets the scumbags of the Navy to confiscate it. I'd rather die before breaking an agreement concerning money. My ass. Arlong solidified his character as an absolute scoundrel, the unadulterated embodiment of a typical pirate. Nami is obviously infuriated with it all slipping away so fast. Nojiko getting shot trying to protect her. The villagers also enraged that Arlong never planned to honor the agreement. And to top it all off, why the hell is Luffy still here? This has nothing to do with him. Arlong pretends the agreement hasn't been broken by the way he's played around it, which has Nami furious and distraught. He then proceeds to threaten Nami if she ever tries to run away from the situation, exclaiming he'll kill everyone in the village. Putting this poor girl through all this bullshit for 8 years and forcing her to endure potentially another 8 years is fucking unbelievable. Really shows how much of a walking, talking piece of shit he is. Nami no longer has anywhere to go. No window of escape from this wretched reality of a situation. The only solution she can think of is to do it all over again. Arlong has broken the last straw, and the villagers have had enough. For the sake of Nami, who has dedicated nearly half her life to saving them, they will finally retaliate against these despicable monsters. They thank Nami for fighting all this time, putting everyone's lives on her back, but she doesn't need to any longer. She has a dream, and she should run away and go seek it out. As they run towards their deaths, Nami falls to her knees, knowing everyone she cares about and has fought for are about to perish, and there is nothing she can do about it anymore. All she can hear is Arlong's dastardly laugh as she breaks down crying in anger, overwhelmed with emotions that can't be held back. She starts stabbing herself on the symbol that represents this piece of shit who's dictated and tormented basically half her life. And she only stops because Luffy stops her. No more. He doesn't want to see any of this. He doesn't want Nami to hurt any more than she already has. Nami yells at him that he doesn't know anything about the island and what's been going on. And Luffy calmly responds, yeah, he doesn't. This has nothing to do with him. He was told to leave already. With the same tone, he's like, yeah, you told me. As everything she's tried to build up over the past 8 years has crumbled, she digs into the ground, repeatedly throwing dust at Luffy, telling him she doesn't need him, over and over again, yelling for him to leave. But as her last resort, mentally shattered, she asks Luffy, who she still doesn't really know at all, for help. Help me. She cries out. Ultimately, with the last card in her hand, the girl who tried to do everything by herself plays her last card. At her absolute lowest, with her hope broken, she begs the friend who doesn't want to see her get hurt for his help. Unconditionally, without hesitation, Luffy puts his straw hat on Nami and screams out at the top of his lungs, of course he will. He's been prepared from the very beginning since she left them, and to show that, he's given Nami his precious treasure, the straw hat he got from Shanks, one of the few people who he looks up to most. He entrusts her with his sacred treasure until he fulfills his duties as her friend. Nami, who was always reluctant to depend on anyone, has finally come across people who will truly be there for her. They are her friends. They will fight to protect her, endure her pain with her, and most definitely save her from this lifelong prison that is Arlong. She now has friends to depend on, and dependent they are. I'm not the biggest fan of the OST, but when I think about it, I can vividly picture this scene. In this scene, it is perfect. As the camera pans out as Luffy walks, and the Straw Hats are hitting the absolute hardest poses I have ever seen. Like, holy fuck, this might be Usopp's hardest moment. Oh wait, never mind, that's a disgusting lie. But it's still tough as fuck. Like, the way Zoro be posted up, and Sanji be standing all cold as hell, smoking and shit. Oh my god, I can't get enough of it. This moment could actually be top 10 in the series for me. Then Luffy be actually tightening up, commanding them, saying let's go, and with chest they all simultaneously oblige. Shit still gets me so fucking hyped watching this. The way they all rocked up walking at Arlong Park, my god, how much this got me smiling is indescribable. This scene has what I love most about One Piece. It has all the elements that help make it perfect. The stakes, the hype, and most importantly, the emotional gravitas. My favorite aspect that One Piece does so fucking well. My top scenes in One Piece are all rich with emotional gravitas. My favorite fight in the series is Luffy vs Rob Lucci in Enies Lobby because it has all those elements done 11 out of 10. Luffy giving Nami the Straw Hat was a top moment for sure because it has all of these. Even if they're up against monsters that far surpass most people, for the sake of their friend who's in pain, they will face any enemies that stand in the way of her happiness. They will free and remedy her no matter who they're up against. She's one of them, and they can't truly begin their adventure without her. To abandon her now would be a disgrace they could never live down. Luffy's conviction and faith in Nami having her reasons for leaving is masterfully showcased in this arc, all to make this climactic emotional moment hit all the more harder. These pirates, people who in her head are the most despicable scum on earth, are people who will be her saviors and save her. They do. In the end, Arlong is defeated, like Luffy intended and fought for. It wasn't money that saved her, it was people she'll spend the rest of her life with. And thankfully, Nami can call them her friends, and ones she will want and continue to adventure with. They're trustworthy, kind individuals who all have their own personal ambitions and dreams, so she fits perfectly right in. With them, she can set sail and pursue her dreams with pirates who have her back and make her smile. Genuinely smile. And not a fake facade any longer. Her heart desires to be with the people that saved her village, saved her, and her smile. Because she witnessed firsthand how far these guys are willing to go for her, and how much Luffy trusts her, even if she has to be a pirate, the thing she hated the most in this world. Such a label is of minor inconvenience when it means she gets to be around the Straw Hats. They are her friends, her home and her salvation. Her and her village can now live looking towards the future and no longer having to fear and fight for survival. It's promised to Genzo that they will never take away her smile or he'll come and kill them. And by now, we all know that would be impossible in every single universe. Nami rids of the Arlong tattoo before she departs. After 8 goddamn years of torture, she replaces it with something more sentimental and right. A tattoo that's a mix of Genzo's spinning hat with a tangerine on it, a reminder of her parental figures that always stuck with her and protected her, and where she came from. And with that, they can finally begin their adventures in the Grand Line. Thank you for watching. If you made it to the end of the video, I truly appreciate you. I love this moment in One Piece, and if you're a fan of the series, I assume you do too. If you have any thoughts, opinions, or discussion about the video or series, leave it down in the comments below. I always read them because I enjoy interacting and yapping about series I love. Aside from that, have a wonderful day.